I already covered the Minnesota Vikings offseason, from free agency to drafts and other things that they should improve on, positions and players. And today I'm going to be talking about last offseason, the players they took from the draft, all the rookies. I'll just be covering rookies that they had from last year. And it's too early to really rank rookies, but I kind of did it from players that played the best in their rookie debut. I'll also be talking potential, and because it's a different list when we're talking potential than when we're talking just how they surprised me last season. So I already recorded this video once, so if I sound like a robot, it's because I have to repeat everything. So starting it off, I have Alexander Madison, running back from Boise State. Now, this was probably my rookie of the year for the Minnesota Vikings because he was taken in the third round, and really it really surprised me that they took a running back, because when you have the running backs class that they had, and then they took running backs in the draft before that, second round, can't remember his name right now, and then they had Mike Boone, and it was kind of like Delvin Cook was coming back, and even though they lost Latavius Murray, it felt like they didn't need a running back as much as they needed center from what they took in the first round and some of the other picks. So this was kind of I don't know why they took it pick. And then now looking back on it, it was a great pick. I mean, Alexander Madison looked better than some of the veteran running backs out there, like Todd Gurley, what's his name, Le'Veon Bell, Ezekiel Elliott. Like, I'm not saying he's better than those players, but he looked far better this season because he can hurdle, he can catch, he can do anything you want from a running back outside from blocking. I mean, Cook can block, but he can't block like that. I mean, he's a backup running back, so it's okay for him to have some holes. I mean, if he didn't have any holes, he would probably not have fell to us. But so yeah, I love this pick. And rookie of the year for the Minnesota Vikings goes to Alexander Madison. Congratulations. Okay. Next up, I have Irv Smith Jr., tight end from Alabama. And this is the player that I think has the most potential. They took him 50th overall and made the Patriots look like garbage. I mean, I love that because they took N'Keal Harry instead of a player to really cover for Gronk's position. And Irv Smith is what you want in 2019 or 2020 now, from a tight end. You want him to be a playmaker. You want him to be a blocker. You want him to be the most athletic guy on the field. Well, maybe outside of from the running back, but you want him to be super athletic, and you want him to be able to do anything. Bigger size than than a wide receiver generally, but yeah, you just need your tight end to be a playmaker. Which him sitting behind Kyle Rudolph is probably the best thing that could have happened to him. I mean, if he went to players like the Patriots, he would have started right out of college. And then since he fell, he got to be a backup under someone's wing. And a player like Kyle Rudolph is a player you want to be behind. I mean, a player that has great personality, a great leader, and someone who can really like train you, because he's been through it, I think 9 seasons now, something like that. Yeah, 9 seasons. A player that has played a lot and is still playing like a madman. I mean, this player caught that one-hander against Dallas. This is that guy in the back of I was so confused. I love that picture. He won the game against the Saints. I mean, Kyle Rudolph had the best season of his career. I think he's been watching, as far as I've been watching the Vikings, Kyle Rudolph has been on the team, and I haven't seen him so great since he played with Sam Bradford, which was his other season that he just blew up, and then this season just came back. But yeah, to have Irv Smith Jr. go under his wing is a great thing to watch, and Irv Smith Jr. will be our tight end of the future, and in the long run will be the greatest pick from this draft, in my opinion, taken 50th overall. So next up, we have our first round pick, Garrett Bradbury, center from North Carolina State, picking 18th overall. Yep. And he's built like a true center, but kind of like not. He looks small. I mean, he's 6'3" at 305 pounds. That's not small at all. But he looks small compared when he goes to against these big nose tackles. Like, you look at him, he trains against Linval Joseph, who Linval Joseph really improves him when they practice against each other, because in practice, because Linval Joseph has been in the league for a while now. But yeah, so Garrett Bradbury has lots of room for improvement. I mean, he can fix the holding fouls or flags, which is that's easy to do. I mean, it's not easy for players like Laquan Treadwell and Pat Elflein who want to do it on every play. But for Garrett Bradbury, I don't think he's going to be like them. He's going to definitely improve and will be a solid center. And I don't know if he'll ever live up to his 18th overall selection, as most centers won't, though, because they were just in such a need for a center to get Pat Elflein out of there and go into left tackle, which even looked worse than where he was. Or what, Pat Elflein left guard? I can't remember. Left tackle, I think they moved him to. Pat Elflein's been a while, like over different positions. But anyways, he shouldn't even be starting Pat Elflein. So, but yeah, Garrett Bradbury, the third fastest offensive lineman in the entire NFL, which I guess that's useful. I mean, it's not like they're going down the field, but for them to move around and kind of move players, confuse defenses is something that centers are doing a lot more now, and that's something you need in a center. So Garrett Bradbury will be a solid pick. I don't know if he'll ever live up to his potential. He didn't get the Rookie of the Year, in my opinion, like Alexander Madison. However, I think Irv Smith will have the greatest season, but Garrett Bradbury won't be like, oh, that was a bust. But yeah, Garrett Bradbury, definitely third. And then fourth, okay. Even if BC just like falls off and just does nothing, doesn't catch a single pass ever, you can't say he was not a great pick at the 7th round. I mean, just for his rookie debut only, for him to fill in for Adam Thielen, their number one wide receiver, and to go in as a 2 and still fill in and look like he could be a 2 wide receiver in the future, was amazing. I mean, 3 wide receiver sets have become a bigger force in the NFL recently. I mean, you have your two wide receivers in the I formation, and then you can throw in another wide receiver inside the slot like BC, who's great in it, and then really confuse defenses. And it's something that was like amazing to see this young player who, like, I didn't know who he was ever since he was picked by the Vikings. I kind of looked at him and looked at some interviews and things, and then I really like this player, and I could see why they took him. He's undersized, which is why he fell, but his mindset is just to be better, and I love this pick. BC Johnson, 247 from Colorado State, played with Oh no! I'm thinking of the other wide receiver that was picked in the 7th round, who played with from Oregon, who played with Justin Herbert, who I was going to talk. But anyways, we're not going to talk about that other wide receiver because I didn't see enough from him to actually rank him. However, I don't know if I wanted to see anything more of him. So next up is Armon Watts. Now, Armon Watts should be a starting defensive tackle in this team, only because the defensive tackles in this team do nothing. I mean, I think they're going to take a new defensive tackle in the 2020 draft, 1st or 2nd round, but Armon Watts definitely performed, came in and picked 190th overall from Arkansas. And Armon Watts, I don't know, actually, he could definitely rotate in, but I don't know if he has the ability to play a full game. I mean, he'll come in and look so good for a few snaps and then just be tired. I don't know if he can play a full game, but if Armon Watts can improve with other players in defensive line, also like veterans, and help him develop, that would be great. And then, Armon Watts, number 5. So next up is Chris Boyd, cornerback from Texas, picked 217th overall. Now, once again, like most of these players, I didn't even know who they were. I mean, I watched college football, but really a lot of these players are players that went to the combine and might have had something happen in the combine that made people want to take them. But yeah, so Chris Boyd, they didn't use him as a corner, not to my knowledge. They might have used him in preseason. I think they did use him in preseason for a little bit. Doesn't look very good as a corner. But they used him all the time in special teams, which is why I love this pick. I mean, we need to improve our special teams, blocking, punt returning, anything on special teams. We need to improve. And from taking a player from last season, also we need to improve at corner. So if he can play corner, I guess you can throw him in, but I don't know why you would want to. Like if they don't even take Waynes or Mackenzie Alexander back, you have Mike Hughes, and then they're gonna probably keep Xavier Rhodes, and then probably take a new player, and then Holton Hill, I don't know where that guy has been. They have to put him in. Mark Fields, where has he been? Some of these, like, the corners are a weak point of the Minnesota Vikings team, but it's not like they don't have corners. Like, these players can play. So I don't feel like Chris Boyd will play this next season at all in corner, but they can definitely use more special teams players, and they will use them on special teams as much as they can. And so, yeah, great pick at 217 if you can use them in special teams. And I think the Vikings should do that again this year. So next up is Cameron Smith. I don't know why I even have him on this list. I don't think this was a great pick. They initially dropped him and then picked him back up. Pick from USC, linebacker, 162 overall. And then really we don't need him. I mean, they have Kentrell Brothers, who's going to be a free agent, Eric Wilson, who's going to be a free agent, and then obviously Anthony Barr. They expected Anthony Barr to be gone. That's why they were taking a new linebacker to really try to get someone, because they didn't know Eric Wilson was going to be as great as he did last season, or even Kentrell Brothers. So then they took Cameron Smith, and Cameron Smith played okay. We saw a little bit of him in the Bears game, but it's not like they game planned for that game, so you don't really know how he's going to play. So really, I don't know how this player is yet. I haven't decided because I haven't got to see enough of him. You've only seen him when they haven't game planned for it, and they only took him because they initially didn't expect Anthony Barr to be back, even though that's Zimmer's guy. But Drew Samia, guard from Oklahoma, 114th overall. Great pick. I think Drew Samia has a career ahead of him, being a starter, everything. We need all the offensive linemen we can get, as long as Kirk Cousins is our quarterback who sits inside the pockets, who is great. I mean, people say I'm hating on Kirk Cousins. Well, not on my podcast, but in real life, because no one really comments on my podcast. But in real life, yeah. But really, I'm not. I mean, I'm just saying facts. He loves to sit inside the pocket. Great thrower. I mean, he has a beautiful deep ball. Just throws it out there, digs, and someone will track it down. But great thrower. But the thing is, he does not scramble. He cannot throw while running, and he can't even run. So how could he be able to throw while running? Take sacks, bad decisions, but definitely has Kirk Cousins can really even be better than he was last season, this next season, with an improved offensive line. And that starts with more guards like Drew Samia starting more games. So let me know what y'all think down below. If there's any players that I'm missing that you think really were like standout rookies, what players lived up to their potentials, what players did not. And till next time.